All right, welcome everyone to Stand Up for Lower Merion in Narberth. We have a couple potential candidates coming in, possibly, that had registered. What I'm going to do with candidates, this is even before they know this, is I'll just have them introduce themselves and say what they're running, what position they're running for, if any come on, and just refers to their website. So it's not a whole, doesn't get mushed into a whole political thing. I do want to do a candidate forum, possibly with Wynwood Civic, and have that come out before the primary. Because we do have, all right, let me find it. And no, I try to keep this stuff organized, but I still have too many screens open. Let me go look for, oh, there it is. It's amazing when you find stuff. I'm going to share the screen. This is so you guys all know, of course, that there's a primary happening on May 18th. You can apply for a mail-in ballot now. And this is a ballot in my precinct. Because this is an odd year election, lots of judges are running and some very hyper local elections are happening. You can see here we have this is the official Democratic ballot. I downloaded mine. You can see I'm running for judge of elections again, and my daughter's inspector of elections. I've roped in the entire family. My son is the constable of elections. But you see, we have a justice for the Supreme Court, Superior Court, Commonwealth Court, and here it tells you how many to vote for. And if you want to write somebody in, you can practice writing very tiny and clearly if you want to write somebody in. There's also magisterial justices. Now this will be different. There's 3 different magisterial justices in Lower Merion and Narberth. School director, not vote for more than 4. But the fun thing is they've cross-filed. So where all these people are running on the Democratic ballot, only 5 of them are actually Democrats. Christina Fink, who organized buses going down to Washington, D.C. on 1/6, is running and she's a Republican. Brandon Salmon is running, he's a Republican, and Travis Chrysler, whoever, he's also a Republican. So keep that in mind if you're a Democrat and want to only vote for Democrats. So there's that. The even number wards all have candidates running, and they're all unopposed. Sam Aidenbaum is running for tax collector again, and Julie Sokoloff is running for constable again. And I'm running and my daughter's running. So that's page 1 of your ballot. But on the other side, there are now 4 questions on the ballot. So there's 3 proposed constitutional amendments and one statewide referendum on whether municipal fire and emergency medical service companies will be eligible for loans. Before, if they were paid companies, they weren't eligible for loans. Now they would be. The first 2 are the first two ballot questions have to do with disaster emergency declarations. The Assembly got upset that they couldn't override the governor's veto of ending the emergency declaration for COVID. And that's just, if you override a veto, you need 2/3 of the Assembly. So they want to change that and give the Assembly more power to do that by making it a 50-50. The proposed constitutional amendment number 3 has to do with, shall the Pennsylvania Constitution be amended by adding a new section providing that equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged because of an individual's race or ethnicity. Now, when I first read it, I thought that was a no-brainer. But then somebody pointed out to me that an individual can look like moi. Because when you first read it, you assume that the individual is a minority or whatever, and that's not so. So that could kind of lead to some reverse racism things. So, and there's already protections in the PA Constitution for equal rights, so it's kind of unnecessary.
So I'm sorry, Adrian, just to be clear, is your recommendation on Amendment 3 that people vote yes or no? I'm still reading it.
This is my personal, which goes against what a lot of places are saying, is to vote no. When you have a ballot question on race that was voted unanimously by the Republicans, it gives me pause.
Thanks.
Okay, even though it was written by Vincent Hughes. So that's your ballot, and you'll get one. If you're a Democrat, you'll get this one in the mail, and you live in my precinct. If you're not in my precinct, you'll get different things for commissioner, district judge, and judge of election and inspector of election, but everything else will be the same. If you're a Republican, page 3, the second page will be the same for every ballot, because you can vote on these questions whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or just registered to vote. So that's that. Okay. Now also, because judges, we never know really what to do with judges. There also is, where is it? Let's share again. On YouTube, they've, I think it's the Pennsylvania for Modern Courts, did a Superior Court forum, and that's recorded. They also did a Supreme Court forum, and that's recorded. So just like Google, when you go into YouTube, Superior Court Candidate Forum or Supreme Court Candidate Forum. And if you, and nope. I went on. Okay, I can't find it now, but I went on. There's on April 19th is the Commonwealth Court forum. We'll send the link out in an email, so you can do that. But if you go on Pennsylvania for Modern Courts, you'll see the event. Yeah, I agree, Bill. All right, what's next? So I want to have Dan Sutton go next. He's with CALM, which is Climate Action for Lower Merion. And tell us a little bit about his organization. We're going to feature a new organization each meeting, so you can find out places where you want to get involved. And our meetings also help with you telling me what organizations we're missing in the area, so it can be, so we can kind of get an idea, and it just makes it easier to get involved. We also have a new Facebook group, and I'll talk about, let Dan go first. Just unmute yourself, Dan.
Okay.
And
Thanks,
if
Adrian.
everybody else will mute themselves so that, and he'll take questions after he's done.
Yeah, so several of us were parties of different climate action committees, Penn Environment, Sierra Club, et cetera, et cetera. And we decided we needed to have an impact on our township and see if we couldn't bring climate change to the front for many of our residents and be it more important to many of us. So we formed Climate Action Lower Merion, CALM, and we've got a website out there. And if you do a search for Climate Action LM, you'll find it. And we're publicizing it, and we got a Facebook page, et cetera, et cetera. And right now, I'm here as a representative of CALM to speak to Democrats who haven't been giving what we consider to be sufficient evidence, sufficient consideration to climate change. And CALM has asked me to encourage Lower Merion Democratic Committee of and Narberth to take a special look at the candidates that we nominate. So I've prepared an introduction of myself and a statement. These are my words, so it represents my thoughts. And it's very similar because CALM is belatedly, admittedly, entered into the conversation of what the new middle school is doing with respect to playing fields. And the campaign is hot and going, and that may be as it is. You may join it, you may not. Anyway, so I want to share a little bit about myself, hoping to provide a little substance about who I am who's speaking to you. I am a Democrat and I am a humanitarian, and I believe in the people of this country. My professional experience has involved analyzing the usage and cost of computers, implementing efficiencies that save my various employers tens of millions of dollars. I'm a member of an alliance that has been teaching people around the world about climate change, about Project Drawdown, the 100 solutions that we can implement today to reverse global warming. This knowledge is being provided to provide hope to the people and show that we can save the world almost $150 trillion over the implementation of these solutions. And we can do it in 15 to 30 years. So the sooner we implement green solutions, the sooner our costs go down, the world's costs go down. These savings can occur in almost all aspects of our lives, including health cost, food cost, energy cost, manufacturing cost, transportation, etc. So I am a founding member, as is my wife, Nancy Chernat, of Climate Action Lower Merion. And our mission is to educate Lower Merion Township residents about climate change solutions. And when we discovered that our school district was about to destroy almost 500 old growth trees to create sports fields for our new middle school, we all wanted to completely understand why and make certain that this was the best solution. Please understand, we're trying to understand this is the best solution. This is going to cost us a lot. We are parents. We've had children in the school system, or we do have children in the school system as part of COM. We believe in the benefits of sports and being outdoors. I coached youth soccer for 15 years. I've been a referee for 25 years, and I was on the board of Lower Merion Soccer Club for almost 10 years. During our investigation, we discovered many things that are advances in our township. Friends Select School put fields on top of their buildings. Shipley put a parking lot under their sports fields. This type of creative construction is what we should be doing as a wealthy township that is landlocked. We've heard that Lower Merion School District operations have used a short-term analysis when designing the heating and cooling system for the new middle school. They selected old architecture that consumes petroleum products rather than a geothermal system run off electricity that could be green. A geothermal system would save money over the life of this new school. Solar products are reasonably priced now. School roofs are one of the best places for us to install them. They're generally flat. Yet we are going to buy electricity produced by petroleum products. Even our township operations have been buying green credits to offset the impact of the electrical production that supports township facilities. How our institutions, our township institutions treat people is about justice, social justice. The pollutants and carcinogens that are being dumped where our least wealthy live, that's an injustice by our township. If you need an example, think about where the trash to steam plants have been built. We have an important opportunity to build a new green middle school that reduces the impact this wealthy township has on our neighbors and on the world. To defeat climate change, we have to stop our destructive behaviors. We need to build a new regenerative behavior. We all need to center climate justice at the heart of everything we do. We need the Democratic committee to nominate political candidates who understand this urgency. Our party dominates this township today, so who we nominate and endorse is critical. That's why I've asked to speak here today. I have to acknowledge my own white male privilege. I've been successful partly because of that. One might say mainly because of that. I'm now focused on giving back. And in the same way, I encourage members of our township to recognize us as a privileged township. Thus, we need to not only care for our residents, but become an example of generosity such that we make certain we do not impose negative consequences from our consumption on the lives of those who are less privileged. That's a statement of social justice. As Democrats who organize this township, we can reduce our generation of greenhouse gases, implement green policies that sequester carbon into our soil, and clean and cool our air. We must save the old growth trees. This climate crisis is going to require cooperation from all of us, even between those of us who have been mistrustful of each other in the past. We need cooperative people in power. It seems that the candidates we select for school board must also be open, cooperative, collaborative, as well as wanting to reduce our schools' carbon footprint and serve our children. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dan. Just so you know, we're more of a non-political thing, but I also happen to be a Democratic committee person, and I can talk to you afterwards. There's a meeting on Tuesday of the Democratic committee. There's also a school board meeting on Monday, and I would suggest that you attend both of them. So, yes, I saw him mouth that. But I understand you're saying we're predominantly a Democratic township. And it's true that the Democrats that, for the last several years, the Democrats that win the primary win the general election. So I understand where you're coming from in focusing your attention on that. And but
So you wanted more of a background about COM, and certainly COM intends to be apolitical, not a single party. Our intention is to focus on the climate
but
and educating people.
yeah, but I understand the focus on the Dems because that's the party that controls the township government at this point. So,
Yes,
okay. Does anybody have any questions for Dan?
about COM or anything I said.
Yeah. Do we see any hands raised?
Jerry,
Yeah, I saw you had a petition going. How many signatures have you collected?
over 1,600.
Really? What was your goal?
We didn't
It's
set one.
possible.
We didn't set one. We're trying to reach as many people as possible to see how many would want to be in the conversation.
Okay. Lisa has her hand up.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. I've been watching this issue for the past several weeks and have been following issues related to the school district for the past several years. I'm curious what the top things that you'd like to see the district do. I mean, I think that, you know, this was, and believe me, I am all for not cutting down these trees. I am not, so take my comments from that perspective. I'm just trying to see how to get things done. But the unfortunate reality is that this was first discussed in the district. I think it was in, oh goodness, December of 2018 was the first mention, I think, of 1800 Montgomery and County Line Road. Am I correct in that? Is everyone?
I think that's the first public statement. The school
yeah,
board
I
has
think-
been discussing it.
The timeline that I have, which I think giving a little bit of history for everyone would be important. The timeline that I have is that in February of 2018, 1860 was presented, and it was presented with the fields on site, not a separate site for fields. And I believe that in December 13th is the date I have. I haven't verified it, but 912 Spring Mill Road was initially discussed as a site for the sports fields. And there was a PowerPoint that's apparently on board docs that I haven't looked up yet. It was a facilities meeting, so it wouldn't have been recorded, but apparently with an extended discussion of the plans of 912 Spring Mill Road. There was another general school board meeting on the 18th. 3 days later, they had that emergency meeting where they proposed 1800 and County Line Road. So something obviously happened between the 13th and the 21st. I'm trying to even figure out where my question is. I mean, I know there's a protest happening on Friday. The 1,600 signatures are wonderful. I guess the questions that I still don't have answers to are why the fields were moved off of 1860 initially in February, as initially presented in February. If anyone knows the answers to that, why the fields are no longer at 1860, and what happened with the property at 912. I mean, did Lower Merion just move ahead on the 21st because Villanova was going to purchase the property?
912 is Spring Mill.
Yeah.
So Spring Mill that series of properties was found to have significant wetlands.
Okay,
So that for, nature and environment,
sure.
those properties were rejected. Even though they were much closer to the school than the current
Right,
solution.
right.
My understanding, hi, I'm Nancy Chernett. I'm
Nice
also a member of COM, and my understanding for 1860 was that the land that they had, they widened the school, and the land that was there for athletic fields was not flat enough.
Okay,
It wasn't appropriate land. I'll just put it this way, it wasn't appropriate.
So their original plan that they got approved is different from what they're now building.
right.
And there's been no explanation of that. We have
Okay.
been unable to get an explanation of that. When we write to them, we get this common,
I can assume.
no matter what we ask, we
Mhm.
get this boilerplate back from the president. And it's always the same to everybody,
Yeah,
doesn't matter on the question. So they're not hearing us. So we have a problem with that.
Yeah.
okay. Well, I see Jerry and Jen both want to speak, and they may have some answers to my questions. I mean, I guess the
Okay,
issue for me is how do we deal with this most immediately, and then how do we stay on top of things? Adrian, I know this is kind of near and dear to your heart, so that issues like this don't keep popping up. But
Okay,
I'll let someone else
yeah.
go.
I'm going to go with Jen next because Jerry's already spoken. And try and keep it concise because we want to be done in another half hour, and we still have Dan Mercer, who's going to do a little presentation about the piazza. So I would like to only have maybe another 5 minutes worth of comments and stuff. So make it brief. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Hi, everybody. Mine is more of a comment than a question. I had the chance to tour these properties. And so, I mean, it's when you see it in person, it really is devastating to imagine what's going to happen. My concern is that if we just set this up as a fight to stop this, that we're just like, it's going to be similar to the Stoneleigh thing. We stopped Stoneleigh, but now we have this. So if we stop this, what's next? And I know there have been various letters circulated, and I know we signed on to a Federation of Civics letter, that what we really need is we need the township, we need the commissioners also to be working with the school district on this, because just fighting to stop this is not going to work. My understanding is they can develop it by right under the old code. They aren't required to do anything, and more than I think the 300 that they have to replan or something small. But we really need a solutions mindset so that we don't end up with something worse, and it's like we fought on Stoneleigh, we fought on Ashbridge, and now here we are with these two properties. That's just my comment. I also believe there was some issue with parking requirements that impinged on the ability to put the fields on the initial site. That's anyway, I'm gonna mute myself now, but I'm not sure what.
Yeah.
It's just really difficult. If there was an easier solution, we would already have it. And we just know that the school district gets very defensive. And if it goes in as, we're just trying to stop this, they're so sort of disenfranchised from the Stoneleigh fight to begin with. I just don't think that's going to work. So.
I think the Stoneleigh fight was just to divide the township, personally. That's what the school district does. All right, enough of my editorial comment. Sarah?
So my first question, based on the answer to this question, my follow-up question will be, is this school board that's in power right this moment the ones who will make the finalized decision?
Yes, because the school board does not, the new school board will not come in to serve until December or January of next year.
So the big issue is you have 4 members of the school board who will be gone after this year. And it's going to be harder to move them because they don't have a re-election to care about. They don't have consequences, frankly, to care about that are individual. So you need to focus on the 5 that will continue on and possibly run again. And that's really where your focus needs to be if you want to win this fight, is those 5 who will still be there next year and possibly run again, just so you know. And if you want any training on bird dogging them, I'm happy to educate you on that method.
Sarah's like amazing.
Thank
at
you.
that.
Sarah Atkins.
Yeah, we'll put you to work.
Yeah.
But she's another one who's even busier than me, and we appreciate your help.
I'm yeah.
Okay, Dan and then Jerry, and that'll be the last.
Yeah, it was my impression that an additional site for fields was always part of the plan, and that's why they didn't back off of Stoneleigh until relatively late in the process. Because every time it was brought up in board meetings, the school board would say, but we'll give up Stoneleigh when we identify another site for fields. I have heard that adjacent property owners on Stone Ridge were willing to sell the school district their houses, basically because they didn't want to live next to a construction site for the next 3 or 4 years. And that area would have been perfect for fields. It's pretty much flat from Stone Ridge to the edge of the 1860 property. So you could have easily put additional fields there had the school board explored that. So it's probably too late now, but it probably would have been a good option.
Okay, and Jerry.
Yeah, I have a question for Dan Sutton. Like, where does it stand now in terms of the clear cut? Is it a done deal? I mean, could we wake up tomorrow morning and see them knocking down trees already, or is there something else that needs approval before they can start?
I'm not certain about that, but rumors have it trees are already being cut, but not en masse. There's isolated trees coming down.
Okay, so in other words, there's no vote that needs to be taken before they can knock down the trees. I mean, they've got the green light already.
There are 2 more township actions that need to take place.
Yeah.
There are no trees being cut now. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know how to jump in. But
That's
the,
okay.
the approval thing is at the end of April, and after that, they can move forward. But no trees are allowed to be touched at this time. There have been 1 or 2 that come down from storms, that's all.
Right. Deborah, like, whose approval thing? The township?
Yep.
Okay, so there's a. Okay, so do you know exactly what the meeting is? Is it a what exactly they're voting on?
They're voting on the approval of the plans, and
Okay.
The 19th and the 28th, I think, is the final one. But again, against code and the things things they have to meet.
Okay, so the entity that needs to be lobbied is not the school board, it's the commissioners right now.
The commissioners actually are more on board with COM than we realize, but
I mean, if you have 7 if you have 7 commissioners, that can stop the trees from coming down.
Well, but the school board sued them last year, so they might want to do that again.
Yeah, check out in the chat that we got some nice things going on. And
Okay.
Sean, because we haven't heard from you, you'll be next. You'll be the last one. Please keep it brief, because then we're going to Dan to do stuff on the piazza. And so what we're trying to do here is not necessarily answer all your questions, but get you excited to find out more. Okay, Sean, you have to unmute.
I'm sorry. So the question was, what can be done and what are we asking to be done? And the current owners of 1835, the Bennetts are, I believe, living, and same with the owner of 1800, living at their residence until, Deb, correct me if I'm wrong, May of 2023, right? Not even 2022. 2023 is when the construction, rather the destruction would begin. So of those two lots, and what the township commissioners have asked the school to do, and now as residents, we are demanding answers to finding alternative methods that don't take down a full forest. And we believe that there are alternative methods, alternative places, as Dan had mentioned, like some creative, fields on top of parking garages, for example. So what we, and it's, many people have noticed that the plans have continued to change. So the plan for 1860 looked one way, then it was submitted differently and differently. And I think that we probably all agree that there's question to their ability to plan properly, the district. So what we're asking for is to stop, to press pause, and to relook at 1860, because there were originally supposed to be fields on that lot, and now they're not. Secondly, I believe the first plan for the 1800 and 1835 properties were for maybe 4 lots, 4 playing fields. Now they're up to 6. And so I have sat through stormwater management seminars this last week from Penn State University, and they point out, as of 2006, it was realized that instead of talking about man-made structures to mitigate stormwater runoff after development, instead of using man-made structures, as of 2006, so we're way behind, the plan was obvious that natural, trees, forests in particular, forests are the most valuable in terms of preventing runoff, because the forest floor is an enormous sponge, just like the canopy prevents water from running off. So we're talking, so initially, the plan was for fewer trees to be cut down, because there is a significant portion of lawn on these 2 properties. And Stoneleigh Natural Lands offered a land swap because right next to 1835 is a big flat field of grass. So what we are asking is, number one, is this the best use of our natural resources? What other resources are there? There are flat fields elsewhere. And the school district has failed to answer questions and work collaboratively. And instead of working collaboratively, they lawyered up with our taxpayer dollars and won the lawsuit, which I believe was basically saying that they could not, I can't get into that because I can't speak the lingo. It's kind of like a technicality. We are asking the school district to stop, because the fact that they bought the 2 properties for $13 million, those are sunk costs. Why should we double down on destruction and double down on stupid and spend thousands more, millions more dollars to now destroy the $13 million property? I went there my first time and I immediately saw a great horned owl. And so this land is 300 years old, probably. Some of the trees are 100, some are over 300 years old. You literally can't believe it, and Kelly mentioned this, until you actually go there. So it would be like taking a portion of Valley Forge Park and turning it into playing fields where all of these 300-year-old trees exist. It's not the right choice.
Okay, thank you, Sean. So if you guys have more questions, want to know how to help, we have COM's website. If one of you would put that in the chat, and then that conversation can continue. So now I want to introduce Dan Mercer, who is a township resident who is always on top of building and planning. and giving us background and showing us all the plans that everyone's doing. And I would like him to give a little update on the Piazza
Sure.
project.
Do you want to bring up the slide thing?
Yeah, hold on, let me figure that out. I
It'll be a
did
lot
put it up.
easier to look at pictures than to listen to me
Yeah,
talk.
all right. I saved it, and where did I save it? Oh, wait a minute. Dee-dee-dee. Oh. File version. This one. Okay, it was only behind my screen. That's all.
Okay.
That's and share screen. There we go. Share.
All right. And if I guess we can view,
Let me see if I can make this bigger.
yeah. Not sure how to do this, but
Yeah, because let me see if I make you a co-host, if you can then do the sharing.
okay. Then I'd have to figure out how to do this.
All right, then I'll just try and advance this as you go.
Yeah. Okay. Is it possible just to make it full screen?
Probably.
Okay.
Down the
better?
bottom,
Put it in presenter.
put it in slide mode, lower right,
Lower
just
right.
to the left of 59%.
Just to the left of 59%.
Lower right corner.
Right corner.
Ow.
There you go. Oh, not the 59%, but there you go.
That one.
Yes.
Thank you. I've been doing Google Slides, so
Maybe you missed it.
You have to enable editing, then you can do it.
I have to enable it.
That's up in the yellow bar at the top.
Oh,
Now that
yeah.
I don't.
The yellow bar in the right above Piazza.
It's not there. I don't see a yellow. I don't have a yellow bar there. Hold on a second. Let me go back.
Oh, or I could try to.
No, because all I'm doing is moving it forward.
Well, I do
Wait a
have a
minute, let me
share.
stop share.
Well, I could try sharing screen. Let's see.
Either grant sharing to him or make
Yeah.
him co-host.
All right, I have to get out. Thank you. Enable editing. There it is.
Okay.
All right. Now we go back down here
Yes.
and we go to not reading view, slide shorter. That one.
And you have to share the screen.
Okay. Can you guys see?
I don't think you're sharing the screen yet.
No, I'm not.
That's all right. I wouldn't have known how to do it either. I would have depended on Dan to guide me through the process.
Okay, let's go to here. Let's go back to here so I could find it, because when it covers your whole screen, you can't see anything else. Share.
Okay. There we go. Oh, almost.
Almost. And
And
then
then,
we have to go here.
and then we have to go to the first slide. Whoops.
Okay,
let's go
yeah.
back to
Wait a
the
minute.
There
Here
we
we
go.
are. Hooray!
There, excellent. Okay, so this is the so-called Piazza Project. It's on Lancaster Avenue between Ardmore Avenue and Greenfield. It's a gigantic property, 3.5 acres. So they're going to consolidate all 9 lots into one property. There's going to be a little bit of an, they're going to exchange properties with the adjacent, there's going to be a little land swap going on with the adjacent parking lot to permit Athens Avenue to go all the way through to Greenfield. There would be 279 apartments, 594 parking spaces. I believe only 401 are required by code, and it's almost 62,000 square feet of retail space. So there'll be only one curb cut on Lancaster in the center of the block. and then two driveways in the back. And there's going to be a loading dock that's going to be inside the building. We'll see some of this in later slides. The sidewalks will end up to be much wider than the existing conditions. So we're looking like 10 to 20 foot wide sidewalks. Next slide. Okay, so it was approved last July, the tentative sketch plan. That's the first step in the development process. The next step is preliminary plan. So that's what we're considering now is preliminary plan. The building has shrunk a little bit to provide an outdoor dining space on Ardmore Avenue. The on-street parking on West Athens has been removed, as has been some of the parking, on-street parking on Lancaster. Stormwater was designed. It wasn't included in the documents the township posted on their site, so we don't know any details of that. It's in the Darby Cobbs Creek watershed though. And the landscape plan was submitted. Next slide. There's going to be 2 levels of underground parking. This is the bottom level, and that's all residential. It's about 270 parking spaces. Next slide. And here's the level above that. It's got 80 parking spaces for residential, 167 for retail. Next slide.
Oops, where'd my cursor go? There it is.
Okay, and this is ground level. All the retail is 1 story. Initially, the corner at Ardmore Avenue and Lancaster was 2 stories. That was presumably to permit a small format Target to go there, but the Target decided to move to Wynwood instead. So everything's 1 story. In that little corner above Adrian's cursor is a little dog park. If Adrian moves the cursor over, yeah, right there. That's going to be a dog park for residents. There's retail parking, 56 or 58 spaces, and then you can kind of see the loading dock there. Next slide. And this is just the representative floors, the 2nd floor. There's a lot of 1 bedroom, a smattering of 2 bedrooms, and a couple of 3 bedrooms right near the top. Okay, traffic study was conducted pre-COVID in 2019. That just lists when they were done. Next slide. This just tells you how many additional trips. It's a little misleading because it doesn't count the traffic that was already there due to the 2 car dealerships, the IHOP and the parking lot. So, but it will generate 213 vehicle trips during the AM peak, 258 during the weekday PM, and 336 during the Saturday mid-peak hour. Next slide. So recommendations, I'm not going to read through all of this, but the main thing, they're going to try to prevent left turns in and out of the property on Lancaster by installing a pork chop island. We'll see kind of what it looks like on the next slide, but you don't have to go to the next slide, but that's all right. But that's all right. And then basically they're going to upgrade ADA ramps, various things. They're going to optimize the signals, traffic signals, and then they're going to do some improvements at Ardmore Avenue and West Athens Avenue, which we'll see in an upcoming slide. Next slide, please.
Oh, and if you didn't have time to read this, this is being recorded and it'll be on our YouTube channel. So you can then pause it and read as you wish.
Yeah, so this sort of shows the pedestrian crossings. It shows the entrance off of Lancaster. I'm not really seeing a pork chop island there, but maybe it's
that would be up in here somewhere, wouldn't it?
Yeah, move your cursor over a little bit to the right. Or yeah, so it would be in the center. There's their courtyard that they're creating in the middle of the block. So I guess the pork chop would be right in the middle, but yeah, I'm not quite sure. It doesn't look like it'll prevent.
Oh, maybe. Oops.
Yeah, right above there. Yeah,
right there.
Above. Yeah, just go above, right at the whatever. So at Lancaster, but maybe they just.
You can see how it kind of bends to the right.
Yeah, so I can see how you couldn't do a left out of it, but I'm not sure what's preventing them from doing a left into it. But
that would. that would be up here somewhere.
Yeah, so
Because
maybe
it's 2 lanes, you're not seeing the other set of lanes up here.
exactly. So it's hard to tell. Maybe there's something in the roadway that they're doing. So next slide. Here's the Athens Avenue improvements. So what they're going to do is they're going to install a one of those flashing beacons that you see around the corner on Lancaster and also on Anderson at Suburban Square. They're going to do a curb bump out to shorten the distance for crossing. You can just see that on the corner of West Athens, right near the post office. I'm not so wild about the no parking, whatever, because people will park there. I'd rather have the bump out larger, but whatever. But that's something that you could mention during public comment, or I'll send some whatever. So yeah, next slide. All right, this is just a little tiny detail of the landscaping, streetscaping plan. So you can see the bus shelter on the top. That's Lancaster Avenue. There's various movable planters. There's a fair number of trees going in. There's bike racks going in. On the corner, there's a circular planter with a wooden bench that goes around it, presumably to mirror the water fountain across the street at Bryn Mawr Trust. And then further down to the south on Ardmore Avenue, I guess the public space for, well, not public space, but the outdoor dining area, right where your cursor is. Okay, next.
Yeah, I'm trying to coordinate.
Yes, very good. Okay, here are the building elevations. This is the front of the building viewed from Lancaster Avenue. They're trying to make it look like several different buildings, but I'm not sure that they're quite succeeding. I would rather see one chunk all reddish brick and then another chunk all limestone-y colored, but I'm not an architect, so it kind of looks like a mishmash, but that's what it is. So next slide. That's the west elevation, what you would see from Greenfield Avenue. Next slide. And that's the back of the building that you would see from the parking lot on Greenfield. And next slide. And that's from Ardmore Avenue. What you're seeing is the corner of Ardmore and Lancaster on the right-hand side. And I think my final slide's coming up, and it's just listing when the meetings are. So this proposal was submitted prior to the new zoning code being enacted and prior to the board limiting height of buildings. They limited to 3 stories. You could get 4 stories if you provided either 20% of the units were moderate income or made a donation to the Affordable Housing Fund. So the only thing, they didn't include what they're getting a conditional use hearing for, but Micah Sneed mentioned that it was something to do with windows, the size of windows. So that's what they're looking to get for conditional use. Somehow their windows don't conform to the code. So there's going to be Tuesday meeting to review the proposal, and then there'll be some more detailed meetings at the end of April to discuss specific impacts. So. All righty. Anybody has any questions? I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay, let's look for, Sean, did you have a question? Your hand is raised? Or was that left over from last time? Left over. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Dan. We'll keep the email that went out, I think had those planning meetings. Reach out to Commissioner Anthony Stevenson because he had planned those community meetings, and they'll probably be with the Ardmore Progressive Civic. So whoever is, let me mute. Okay. And so we also, the last thing I want to mention is we have a new Facebook group.
Well, Adrian, I have
And
a quick question.
Who?
Tanya.
Oh, Tanya, go, Tanya.
About the dining, do you know if there's going to be outside seating or the awnings that pop out and that type of thing when it comes to the foot traffic that goes back and forth?
I'm not quite sure. I haven't stared at the the thing long enough. It just looks like it includes what's planted there.
Okay.
But the plans are all available. I guess I could look at them more carefully.
No. I'm just trying to picture kind of the flow of that area and figured you've stared at it. You don't have to stare more.
Okay.
We'll find out eventually.
Yep.
Thanks.
Sure.
And someone, is the outdoor dining associated with new development, or will it be for tired hands next door?
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume it would be that they would have a restaurant,
Maggie, I just remembered. Thanks.
but I'm not sure.
Okay, and so we do have a new Facebook group called Stand Up for LMN, and it's a social learning. And it's a learning for, there's a big learning curve for us too. And what we're trying to do is put everything into guides. So if you want to look at the calendar for when school board meetings are, it'll be in the calendar guide. Then what we're attempting to do after that is, once the meetings have taken place, then go into the guide for like the school district, and it'll say this meeting at this date. This is a small synopsis of what happened. And if there's a link to a recording, we'll put that in too. The school board, I don't know how easy it is to link to their recordings, but we will try, and I could use some volunteers to go to meetings. So, and report back. I know that Rosa Soroto said she would do some school board meetings. I know Lisa Prazas is doing some school board stuff. Dan Mercer's doing like the planning and all that stuff that he just did for us. So we'll have that from him. But other meetings, we still need people. And this is also something League of Women Voters does. So you can actually help two organizations at once by doing this stuff. So if you would like to volunteer, send us an email or put it in the chat right now. Okay, and Dan Sutton's going to do the Environmental Advisory Council for us. I finally remember what EAC stands for. And thank you, Dan. And here's our at gmail.com. Feel free to get to us. And I guess take a look at our Facebook group. Hold on, I want to go out of full screen here. Give me a second. Oh, I am out of full screen. Click to exit. Okay, here's that. Now I can find. So I want to give you the link to the Facebook group, and then we'll be out of here. And I appreciate so much all of you showing up today. I really appreciate it. Our next meeting, which will be in 2 weeks, will start at 2:30. I did not see any candidates come on, so we don't have any introductions to do.
I'm a candidate.
What's that?
I'm a candidate.
Oh, Joseph, that's
Yeah.
right. You're running for magisterial judge.
That's correct. Is this a convenient time? I'll follow your 3 steps, your instructions scrupulously.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, my name is Joseph Hirsch, and I'm running for magisterial district judge in district number 38204. That's the district that runs along City Avenue from Ballackinwood all the way out to Penwyn. My website is joehirschforjudge.com. So if you want to learn about me, please go there. Thank you.
That was short and sweet, and that's what I was hoping for. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And okay, and give me 1 second while I search for our group. Leave this page. And that's the group. Just go click on that right now, and I'll give you everybody a minute or three to do that. And meanwhile, I'm going to end the recording. And I thank you all for attending.